She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining.
So yeah, just because I was working long hours, it was just very stressful, and it's not something that I want out of my career. I don't want to put 55 hours a week into a job. Not that it was foolish, but I was a bit blinded by like the glamour of ad agency life, which is fine, but basically like I realized that a client-facing job for half the pay is not it for me. Hi guys! I noticed this is also like a new view of my room where I film, so that's cool. And the camera's near the window, so if you guys hear like bird noises or wind or anything like that, that's why. But yeah, I just wanted to sit down and do like a small big life update, actually talk to you guys in real time. But since this is my biggest platform, I did want to like just sit down and update you guys with some things. It's nothing too crazy, just some life changes and life updates that I thought I would share with you guys. And I like had mentioned it at a whim in the beginning of this vlog, because that was actually my last day at my job. And also I do feel like my channel is all over the place, so like people find me from a bunch of different kinds of videos, like hauls and DIYs and reviews and like actuarial job type stuff. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't be making certain videos like these because they're just so niche. Hopefully the people that are looking for those types of videos find them, and that's the reason why I make all these different kinds of videos. So yeah, I mean today's June, this is gonna go up this week, so this is like me in real time. But basically like the rest of this vlog was in May, and my last day at my prior job was May 14th. I had been there for a year and a half, and I think a backstory is warranted, and I'm sure some of you are interested, or maybe some of you were wondering. I guess this would be like trying to answer some FAQs as well. But basically I have a full-time job and career, and I do content creation as a part-time thing. This is like my support plush, so it's just gonna sit here. So some background on me, if you guys don't know, is that I graduated from college in 2017. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Actuarial Science, so it's like a concentration in mathematics. And ideally at that time, maybe because like I'm somewhat of a type A person, I like wanted my degree to match my career, because you can study actuarial science and then ultimately become an actuary. But just as so many people tell you, and I'm going to tell you, like what you study in college is not necessarily what you end up doing in life. My career now is actually pretty close to what I studied, and you actually can't really study it in college. But yeah, it's just literally like one lane over to actuarial science. They're both parallel and they work together. The cards just didn't line up for me to like end up in the actuarial track, and I'm actually really grateful for that, and I'll talk to that in a bit. So yeah, I graduated with that. I had really low GPA, I had a 2 point something GPA throughout college. I finally hit like a 3.0, I was okay. Like I finally hit the 3.0, so I think that really helped me. Like when I put it on my resume, and then when you fill out job stuff, like I was in that category, so like I would actually be considered. But that aside, like I didn't have any internships, and I was really struggling to get a full-time job. I was even began looking in middle America for some jobs, because there's also like some kind of pressure for you to get an offer before you graduate. So I was definitely feeling that pressure. So that was like a self-battle thing. I did get like an interview virtually for being a claims adjuster. So I think claims adjusters like actually go to the scene and see stuff. So it was like kind of corporate, but also like blue collar in a sense, because like you have to show up. I don't know, that's what I would consider it. Actually, like verbally or through email had accepted it, but because I had so many applications out there during the time of actually interviewing, working through that offer, so during that time I actually got an interview for an actual corporate job in like the financial district of New York City. So I was mainly looking for a job in New York, because I live in Queens and I didn't want to buy a car. I didn't want to rent outside of my family's home, and yeah, I just wanted like the best financial situation for myself, which is just taking the subway to work. Let me put this down. It's just too cuddly. Okay. So yeah, basically I interviewed and I had gotten that offer. It's a really great company. It's like a Fortune 500 company. And yeah, it was a really great job, and it was for underwriting. So yeah, basically underwriting is right next to actuarial, but for me, I thought there was like some kind of prestige attached to being actuarial, and again with the type A thing. And plus, if I was ever going to walk away from something, I wanted it to be my choice and not the fact that I could not get the opportunity. So it was like my choice to walk away from the actuarial career rather than like me not being good enough for the actuarial career. So I basically, like, it was just something that I had to prove to myself. I'm just saying, like, that job at that company was so good, and I would have never walked away from it if I didn't need to pursue this to prove something to myself. So yeah, I had been at my first corporate job for 2 years. I actually did try to transition into an actuarial team. I interviewed, but they ended up going with someone else. And I mentioned that because, like, I'll talk to other people, read forums, watch videos, and they always say, like, you can go into a company and then try to transition in. But it didn't happen for me, and I think it's fair that I should share that and put that out there as well. And yeah, so basically at the 2-year point, I was still studying. Actuarial science also comes with exams. Forgot to say that. So I graduated with 2 exams under my belt, and I had passed the 3rd exam while working my first job the first year in. And yeah, that was pretty tough. Like, I would work 9 to 5 and then go to a cafe at like Starbucks and then sit there and study for like 3 hours and wait for Cody to get off of his job, because at that time he was like in consulting. And to be clear, I do try to be transparent with you guys, but I do want to give privacy as well. But me and Cody live with Cody's parents. So this is actually like Cody's room in Cody's parents' apartment, and they were just like nice enough to like accommodate me and like let me live here. And of course Cody like got me my desk and my screen and everything. But me and Cody do not live alone, and we don't pay rent. My channel is a lifestyle channel, and I want to be transparent about my lifestyle because obviously if we're not paying rent, we have more disposable income to spend towards certain things. So people don't feel like, how can they do it and I can't, and all this stuff. So I want to be transparent about that as well. Of course I'm not gonna like mention it in a vlog like every day, but just to let you guys know. And if you guys ever ask, I tell you. And I'm also saying this because a lot of you guys have reached out to me and have asked for advice on how to move out, but technically I haven't moved out yet. And yeah, I want to talk about that later as well. So this video is just gonna be really long, and I'm sorry about it. So yeah, we would want to commute home. So during that time, I had studied and signed up for like the test in November. So I studied all the way up to there. I ended up passing, and I think that was really well regarded. When I would go email, they're like, oh, she can pass an exam while working a complete separate job and not getting any study time. So yeah, around April 2019, I think there's a vlog somewhere where I actually vlogged that I went for the interview, and I was so nervous. And before that, I had to do like a phone interview with someone. And I had done another phone interview with this company like a year prior, and I didn't hear back. So I thought I just wouldn't hear back, and I ended up going in for an in-person interview. It was about 3 hours, 6 people, half an hour each. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's crazy. I think you guys need to know like how competitive the actuarial market is in New York City. I don't know. That's what it was. It was fine. It was all behavioral. Is relatively like an experienced entry-level position. But the thing is that I was going from 9 to 5, really comfortable work-life balance, moving into consulting, client-facing. So like if there's any client issues, you kind of really have to drop everything to tend to clients. For some reason, I was like the only hire at that time. So I mean, I didn't know it, but like someone had to tell me that there was literally like a spotlight on me on how I was performing. Good thing I didn't know that till the end. But yeah, I was given 8 clients and some of them were giant clients, so like giant companies with tens and thousands of employees. And I only mention that because like the bigger your client, okay, this might have to be its own video. Oh my gosh, yeah, this might have to be its own video. Okay, sorry about that, sorry. Because the companies are so large, like they demand so much attention at a consulting firm. So yeah, there were a lot of like fire drills, like random problems, and I was so used to like the 9-to-5 life, it just shook me to my core. Back at my first job, you know, you just leave at 5, leave your computer there, and you come back. So I had been doing the same thing at this consulting firm, and like there were multiple times where like I would come in and my team that I was on would like have worked through the night and I was just MIA. And of course that looks bad on me, and that was like bad for me. And of course, like as stressful as it was for that to be my situation, like of course like I feel bad for the team, like I wasn't available, but genuinely it wasn't really something that I knew. And then obviously like I would get called out for it and all that stuff, so I would then take my laptop home and then look at it all the time. And you know, I ended up working like 55 hours a week, so like 15 hours of overtime. And yeah, I was also trying to still run my YouTube channel. I think I was probably slacking at that time. And all of this was just like the summer of 2019. It was literally like 4 or 5 months of my life, but it felt like 2 years. So yeah, just because I was working long hours, it was just very stressful, and it's not something that I want out of my career. I don't want to put 55 hours a week into a job. I would like to put 40 and, you know, have it be comfortable, and if there are issues, like there's always tomorrow and you don't have to do it today. Because of the way I am, I've realized that a client-facing job is not for me, at least in that sense. And I had to realize that again because of this job. It was just so much insurance, because I was now like in actuarial, so I was like an expert or expertise, and I had to know so much and talk about so much and do so much that I got burnt out so fast. So at that point I had just decided to walk away from insurance, and I was like, this is hella boring. I need more excitement in my life. And I was just like, I need a more exciting career. So I shifted into agency. So at that point I ended up getting a position at an ad agency in New York City. I was a search and social paid associate, I think. And yeah, just a little spiel on how I ended up getting it. I did have a connection, really lucky and grateful for her to have helped me out at that time. I was able to use my strengths and manipulate it towards it being useful at an ad agency. So like, of course, I'm good at math and analytical, and that would really transition well at an ad agency where you still work with numbers to a certain extent, but it's about like dollars and paid advertising and buying. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to change the battery and then turn on the ring light so it's not as dark. But yeah, to continue, I was able to play up my strengths, like having analytical skills, having had experience working with numbers, and of course like being able to understand like the ad agencies and marketing and everything like that. Still uses numbers, but just for other things like actually quantifying like return on investments behind like buying ads and stuff, like how much helping the client like boost sales and stuff like that. So yeah, I did well in the interview and I ended up getting the offer, but I do want to share with you guys, because so many people want to work in this industry, they are able to pay you less. So I actually took a huge pay cut, and I can tell you it was 50%. So I took a 50% pay cut to just leave like a stressful work environment and to try something new. And I don't regret it. It was definitely a really hard step for me. 2 years at my first job, the actuarial job was 4 or 5 months, and now I've moved on to the ad agency job, which is still in 2019. So actually in 2019 I've had 4 jobs, which for my accountant, which is also a friend, I feel bad for her, but thank you. But yeah, I mean, I really hope you guys enjoy like me, or appreciate, or I don't know, find this useful, like me sharing like real life details, because I have been wanting to talk to you guys about this. I just don't know how, so I guess I'm just putting it out there in a life update video. So yeah, but very quickly I've realized that the ad agency is still client facing, so there are still specific stresses and way that they're built. It's just not somewhere I want to be, and it's not fit for my personality. So that aside, I just did not enjoy how many meetings they were, and they were draining for me, and it was very demanding. And I do want to say a lot of my experience was biased and based on my first job. So my first job did not have a lot of meetings, and I would just show up, crunch the numbers, send out the emails, ask questions if I needed, and go home. So that was my base experience. It was super comfortable for me. So yeah, at the ad agency, multiple meetings throughout the week. At certain times there were meetings all day. Maybe if you're lucky you don't have a meeting that day, that's if you're lucky. So having been there for 2 months, again, it was just something that I realized that I had to go through to not want to do. And a part of me was like, hey, I enjoy content creation so much, and I thought that it was similar to like an ad agency, but it's not. When you are a content creator, you have all the flexibility to yourself. You like technically are your own boss. Of course, if you are lucky enough to work with brands, you have deadlines, but at a certain point everything is a little bit flexible for you. And yeah, so it was so different being at an ad agency, and again the pay was like halved. So I was just like struggling to not show up, but like to be there, like for half the pay. And I really thought, I'm sorry if you guys can hear the birds. I should have done this with my mic, but I'm already like halfway through the video, so sorry. I'm just using like my camera's audio. I went into it thinking I could accept the pay cut if it was something I was going to enjoy, and I had thought that it was similar to like content creation. Not that it was foolish, but I was a bit blinded by like the glamour of ad agency life, which is fine, but basically like I realized that a client-facing job for half the pay is not it for me. And I also want to point out that in ad agency life, like it's a 9 to 6, and it's very easy that people work 8 to 6 just to like be better employees. But I was still looking for a 9 to 5, ideally with some work from home, because that's what I started with, and I didn't realize how amazing it was till, you know, going through the workforce. Of course it's more flexible now after like the lockdown and COVID and everything. My team was working on a work from home schedule, but it was really underdeveloped, and it was like, if I'm working from home, no one else can, and then if someone is, then I can't. So like only one person, you know, and like only one person can be home. So it was just a lot. So yeah, that was it. And because I already had so many applications out, because I was back at my actuarial job, I actually heard back on an underwriting position in New York City, and it seemed like they needed to fill that position really quickly. So I had somehow managed to figure out how to like get to that. I think it was like at 4, and like I told my team like I had to go at 4, like to leave early so I could pop over to that office to do the interview. And they were nice enough to squeeze me in like the last interview of that day. Like they literally called me and asked me to come in tomorrow. Like that's how fast it was. So I was able to like finagle it, and I went for the interview. I interviewed with like 2 people, and it was like half an hour each. So it was a really good interview, and I actually like got an offer like the next week. I spent some time, and I got the offer when I was at my ad agency job, and it was like a super like open office. I would be like this, and then I would like walk into like a room or the bathroom and then pick up the call. And yeah, I spent about a week trying to negotiate my pay. Literally like pop into like one of those conference rooms where it's like all glass and it's just me in there like a weirdo. So yeah, I spent some time negotiating my pay. was able to negotiate getting a signing bonus rather than none, and a little bit of a boost. After realizing the ad agency wasn't for me, and having been away from insurance, I really reminisced about my experience in underwriting, and it's really great. I really don't mind sitting down and doing some arithmetic for a few hours for some money. Like, it's fine. It is what it is. So yeah, underwriting was really for me. I was really grateful for this opportunity to like fall in my lap, and that hiring manager, which ended up being my boss, I believe took a chance on me because I had already left insurance, so like I was kind of like a volatile hire, but we got along really nicely. So I think I fit what she was looking for, and yeah, so you know, I quit the ad agency, and then it just so happened that like Cody's family was planning to go to Hong Kong, so I had like this whole trip. I went to LA, I went to Hong Kong. So yeah, I took some time off, went on vacation, and then I started my second underwriting job, which is like my fourth job in my like timeline of careers or positions. So yeah, it was technically a promotion from the job that I had left, like my first underwriting job. So that was great, you know, was able to negotiate my pay, and I was really ready to stay there. But as I worked through there, I really didn't make too many like connections with my colleagues, and you know, that's fine. You don't end up clicking, and maybe sometimes the company culture just doesn't match with yours. And again, I had come from already being at so many different companies that like it wasn't like a fresh mold. So you know, I already came with like past experiences and past opinions about stuff. There were a few instances for red flags for working with that team in like that department. So at that point, I realized if there was any opportunity to return to my first company, like I would take it. At that point, I'm already like an experienced underwriter, so I realized like I've spent some time jumping around in different industries that I'm happy to stay in underwriting because I've had the experiences, and you know, lucky enough to come back. And obviously like I've been at this position for a year and a half, and it has its pros and its cons, but throughout the time of the year and a half, like those red flags have popped up, and I really didn't see myself wanting to be there. But if I didn't get anything better, I would have stayed. But in April or May of this year, I actually saw a job listing for my first company, and I applied and everything, and I had selected that like I was previously employed. I did try to reach out to my past director and let him know that I was interested. Oh, and also just to add, in November 2019, when I was leaving the ad agency and moving back into underwriting at a new company, my old director at my first company had reached out to me to let me know that there was a position open, and asked me if I wanted to return because I had already tried to come back at the actuarial position. But it didn't work out because the position that I had been offered was technically a promotion, so it didn't make sense for me to return to the company to go down a level. I mean, after, you know, witnessing and experiencing those red flags, the smarter thing looking back was to not take the technical promotion at the new company. But you live and you learn, and yeah, so basically in May, you know, I interviewed over there virtually. Everything was virtual because of COVID. Basically, the recruiter like noticed my application, and luckily it was for a position in New York City, so like I was familiar with the team and everything, and the hiring manager. So I was told that I was prioritized because I had previously worked at this company. So yeah, very quickly I hopped on a call with the recruiter, and then I got the interview with the hiring manager. Everything went well, and very soon I got the offer. Again, I tried to negotiate, I ended up getting a signing bonus again that wasn't previously offered, and a little bump. So yeah, negotiate. And like, this really just doesn't come and again, it doesn't come easy. Like, I'm literally sweating through my pits, like when I'm negotiating. Not necessarily through interviews, because it's just you taking some time to connect with that person. But I still am nervous before interviews. But you know, like being at this company, I really don't plan on ever leaving. So it's an immense burden off my shoulders that I probably will not interview ever again. But like it's fine if I have to for some reason. But yeah, so basically after a year and a half at the second position for underwriting, I was able to return at my first company. So yeah, that's basically the life update. I really wanted to tell you guys the whole spiel because I feel like I don't talk about it enough. Although my experience was a bit crazy and I jumped around a lot, I definitely want to share this with you guys because I know 99% of you are working people and a lot of us are just corporate workers, and it just is what it is in a capitalistic society. And I'm just trying to show you guys like the best way that I found for me that has worked for me, and I'm really happy. So yeah, basically at this job I've made connections with people that I can genuinely say that I love, and I'm so glad to be back. And you know, I really took these like friendships and relationships for granted because I thought like everyone was like this in the workforce, but they're not. And you know, I've still made some friends at past companies that I really like. Of course, I just didn't like the industry, but I like this but for my skills and what I can tolerate for 8 hours a day, I think this is a really good industry for me. I like math. I like math and I like arithmetic, so I'm fine with just sitting down and doing the math. It's not that complicated, and what that I mean by that is like actuarial science is so complicated and you have to learn so much to prove yourself, and you have to pass exams, and you have to learn like predictive modeling, statistic tools, which is all fine and people can train you on that, but like it was just a lot for me, especially like that's not how I started out, so it was a little tougher for me because I kind of had to like relearn and unlearn some things, so it was more difficult for me. But yeah, really happy here. It is a traditional like 9 to 5-ish. Of course there is a busy season and you feel the need to stay, then you know you should and all of that stuff, but you know it's like it was the best match for me. The workload is okay, and also I want to say at the second underwriting job I do feel like it was incredibly understaffed, so because of that so much work fell on each person on the team. So comparing the workload like from each company, the first company that I was at, which I'm back at now, definitely does a good job of balancing the work and also is better staffed. But I've heard that like my colleagues now still think it's understaffed. But for profit and op gain in a Fortune 500 company, like they make the most money like if people feel like they're understaffed. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I'm just back at my first company. The past 2 weeks I really haven't been uploading and haven't had much time or really motivation to edit, and and I don't know about you guys, but it just feels like the mood is like it's so volatile. Like I feel like I can burst into tears at any time, like, and I don't really follow like horoscopes or like what's it called, Mercury in retrograde, but